Hello, Gaston County. Welcome to episode number 57 of Gaston's Great, a podcast highlighting some of the great things happening in and around Gaston County. I'm your host, Stephen Long, and we are coming to you once again from the worldwide headquarters of GSM Services right here in downtown Gastonia, as we continue to look forward to having more great discussions in the coming weeks and months. We simply believe in discussing more of the reasons why Gaston's great. We're having another great discussion this week, and we have Kate Carmody, Caleb Stalcup, and Shohn Doty with us from Gaston College. Kate is the broadcasting program chair, Caleb is the sports broadcasting producer, and Shohn is the athletic director and baseball coach. So guys, it's great to have you on, and welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Good
you.
to be here.
We appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely. So we have no idea where we're headed today, but we're going to start with Kate, and maybe if you could just tell us a little bit about yourself, anything you'd like to share, kind of maybe go into your role at Gaston College, and how'd you end up there?
Well, I kind of ended up at Gaston College by chance. I've been there 11 years, and I was working as a producer at Channel 9, and I had my daughter, and I didn't want to work 60-hour weeks anymore. So I rerouted and started teaching one class, then two, then three, and then the rest is sort of history there.
All right, very good. Shohn, what about you, sir?
Well, I had been a Division I coach for 24 years prior to coming to Gaston, and my last stop was at UNC Charlotte before, and made a decision that I was going to get out of coaching, and that lasted all of 8 months. I moved back home to open a business. I'm going to tell you that I'm on the other side of 50. I know I look way younger than that.
Absolutely.
I thank you
as
very
the
much
video
for saying
shows.
that. Exactly. Yeah, video proof of that.
Yes.
But anyway, Dr. Hoosier called, and I said, I've called about 5 people, and your name keeps popping up. And he said, we're starting an athletic program. And I said, where? And he said, Gaston College. And I said, where's that? And he said, it's literally 15 miles from your last job. And I flew out and just heard his vision and what he wanted, Gaston Athletics to be and what he wanted it to become. And we had Sims Park that we, knew could be a very nice place to renovate and do some things. And it couldn't have worked out any better. Obviously, we'll get into the details of that as we go through the show. But it's just been an unbelievable opportunity for me, and I think it's a great opportunity for Gaston and for Dallas and for the surrounding area and everywhere. Just because I think athletics brings a sense of community, and
Sure.
As we continue to grow the athletic department, that sense of community will continue to grow. And I'm just so fortunate to be in on the ground floor of that. So excited to be here.
So when you had that conversation, did he have to tell you that it was Dallas, not Texas, or?
Well, originally, like I said, I was pretty determined that I wasn't going to get back in. I'd done it for 25 years, and but golly, everything I asked, every question that I had, he was like, he had an answer. And then he said, hey, just fly out here and look at it. And then once he got me here, anybody that knows Dr. John Hoosier knows that he pretty much gets what he wants. And so that was kind of how that worked out. And I ended up here and couldn't be more happy.
All right, well, thanks for sharing that. Caleb, what about you?
So I've told my story quite a few times, but I'll give you a real condensed version.
Okay.
So I'm a local. I've been here my whole life. I've been in Bessemer City since I was a baby. So I graduated high school, and like most people, I didn't know really what I wanted to do. So I went into doing wheels and tires. I got a full-time job doing that. I think I was 17.
Okay.
I did it for about 8 months, and then was like, this is not it. I can't do it. Four minutes felt like 4 hours. So I was like, I can't spend the rest of my life like this. So it was actually my mom that said, my mom said it's a no-brainer. You grew up an athlete, and you've always had a background of like some music production. Like I always had older cousins that played guitars. I was always around some sort of music production. I knew microphones and things at a young age. So she was like, it's a natural fit. You should try broadcasting. So I took the program. Kate's actually known me since I was a teenager. She's watched me grow up. I'm 26 now. I have a young son, but basically I fell in love with the program. I kind of already had a background in production, so I fit right in. I got hired as a tutor originally. Then I got a promotional job, like doing a little bit more. I was always in the broadcast program as a student, then a tutor, then got a small promotion as a part-time gig. And in short, while I was working doing part-time for Gaston, I got another side gig where I was live streaming high school events around here.
Oh, okay.
So I met a guy named Chris Ritchie, and he did what's called SFC Network. I don't know if the name has changed now or not, but basically during the pandemic, you couldn't have people in the stands for high school athletics, which was destroying high school athletics budgets like everywhere. So Chris Ritchie basically made a small company where we would go to these events, whether it be baseball, softball, or basketball, or football. We would go and we would live stream the games, and parents and fans could pay a small, ticket price to get access online. And it was a way for the schools to still make money during the pandemic off athletics. So I got some experience doing, athletic production before John Hooser, our president, announced that he was going to bring back athletics. So naturally, I'm part-time at Gaston, and then the news comes out that Hooser wants to bring back athletics. So I'm begging Kate. I know how to do it. I've had this part-time job. I even know the equipment that we need to make it work. It doesn't cost $1 million. It's obtainable. And then I started to see the vision of what if I taught it here and we did it for the Gaston Rhinos, and it just kind of snowballed. And here I am now. We did our inaugural season last year. We live streamed close to 50 games, and Coach will tell you, it truly is I don't want to seem like I'm bragging, but we really put out a good product. I like to jokingly say that we're Gaston College's ESPN3, and I really will stand on that. We're to be a community college, especially as early and as fast as we got the gear, and I taught people how to do it, and we were going live to do it that fast. I think we really put out a great product, and it not just about me. It helps athletics in general. Athletics in the modern world, everything is filmed. Everything is. Even, sports you wouldn't think are filmed, so you can review it and get better. And so in the modern day, filming is a huge part of athletics, and I'm just grateful that John Hooser, and because, my position had to be approved by all the higher-ups, so I'm grateful that they I guess they saw that I had some passion for it, and they took a small risk, and here I am. We're still doing it, and we're looking to do our second season coming up.
Well, good for you. Okay,
Thank you.
Was that really the condensed version, Kate?
Oh, I'm sorry.
There's never a condensed version with Caleb.
Sorry.
Don't apologize. This is great. Well, I grew up with athletics myself, playing all through high school. So, yeah, that is a big part. It's a really big part of high school here. Locally, so I appreciate something that you did during COVID just messed up so many things, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's nice to hear somebody taking some initiative to do some of that stuff. So, Kate, I kind of maybe go back to you and kind of just kind of go through the broadcasting in general. And this is obviously for all three of you, but talk about what are some things you're doing where before we finish, obviously we're going to make sure all of our listeners know where to go see games and how can they get plugged in, and obviously all the sports that are going on over there. Me being so plugged in the community, I kind of know what's going on, but then we have some listeners who aren't even aware of all the sports that you've got going on, so we want to make sure we touch on that. But just kind of talk about the broadcasting part, and what are some of the initiatives you're doing? Just kind of general talk about, because you're talking about, even though I'm on the mic right now, I'm pretty ignorant about all this stuff.
Okay. Well, we do a lot more than just live streaming sports. Sure. That's only one arm of what we do. We actually do a lot of things for the community, which we're currently recruiting for, so I'm going to mention. We have a recording studio, and we welcome local bands from the community to come in and record, and we record them for free so the students can get experience. So we're going to be currently recruiting bands for that.
Okay.
And we also have a local television show called Gaston Spotlight that airs on Channel 21, and we invite people from the community to come in and talk on the show about their business, different community initiatives. We also do some college shows as well, but we kind of have expanded it to the community to make it more interesting for the students. We also have a podcast lab. We teach video editing. field production. We have our hands in so
So
many
we need
pots.
you here at Gaston's Great Podcast.
Yes. So when we took on sports, it was just adding one more thing to the many things that we do.
Yeah, the program was well established
Right.
before we started into this. This was just a opportunity we jumped on.
So it sounds like we've got another 8 or 10 podcast recordings to do with all your other broadcasting stuff besides the sports.
Yeah, we do a lot of
Okay.
stuff, and sometimes people don't really get how many things we do. And those are all part of our classes and our program. So students who join our program get to take all of those things. And now sports is a requirement, so you get to dabble in everything. You do recording, you do TV production, radio production. We have a radio station a campus radio station
Right, I'm
across the
familiar with
hall.
that.
That's not like part of our program, but you can intern there, things like that. So there's just a lot of opportunity, and you leave very well-rounded as a jack of all trades.
Do you have a podcast studio that has like better for sound than the one that we're echoing in right now?
Yeah, our facility's our podcasting lab is pretty great. It's just a small room, but it's pretty well soundproofed and not too echoey.
So Caleb, kind of expand on that specifically on the sports side, and what are some of the things you've done in the inaugural season? What kind of hiccups were there? What did you learn?
Oh, my goodness.
And then where are you headed for the second season?
The hiccups would be a podcast of its own, no doubt. In short, I'm gonna keep saying that, but to give you an idea of what we were having to deal with, baseball was playing at one venue, softball was playing at another venue.
Okay.
Basketball was playing at 3 different venues. So if I'm the person live streaming and taking a small group of students, basically like a crew, to work these games, I have to make sure each location I've scouted and I know where the outlets are at and the internet, what the deal is with the internet connections and what where do I have access, where is going to be a trip hazard and all that stuff. So it was chaos, but looking back, it was fun chaos because it kept me super busy. But I mean, you can imagine like being me, right? We're starting this sports broadcasting adventure. I've been greenlit to do it. I'm all excited. And they're like, all right, basketball's playing at 3 different high school venues. Here's their AD's information. Good luck. So that was just a small thing. And then honestly, but I will say that all the athletic directors that I encountered, they might not have been as excited about what I was doing as maybe I was, but everyone was super helpful and they were understanding. And by the end of it, they did think what we were doing was pretty cool. And so it was a fun experience to have to be kind of forced out of my comfort zone to be forced to meet new people and go scout locations and things like that, and really get on the ground level of trying to make some live streams happen.
Very good. So, Shohn, let's kind of go ahead and get into the first year. I mean, kind of get the kind of the recap. And we talked right before we started recording about this, the baseball team, and I think there even saw an article maybe in the New York Times. Did I remember that correctly?
It was. First thing I'd like to say, I mean, as we're talking about broadcast technology, it was huge for us. And I will say that if you look and go back, and we still have, our copies of our old games on that website. What is that? Or that?
It's a Team One Sports, or actually
app.
On our Gaston website. The past games are archived.
I would encourage people to go back and look at the quality of production. We had 3 cameras, sometimes 4 cameras, very equivalent to some of the conferences that I worked in at Conference USA, places like that. I mean, I look at our production and I was amazed. And of course, that's a selling point for moms and dads.
Sure.
I mean, we do have several out-of-state athletes. I mean, this year coming in, we have a kid from New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Florida.
Oh, wow.
Kansas. Their parents aren't going to be able to see them play every game. But hey, Team One Sports app, watch all of our home games, stream them live. Those are things that aren't offered at the junior college level, and that's kind of what we're trying to do in our entire concept with Gaston College athletics. We definitely don't have and I do not like to use the term junior college. I mean, we don't have a junior college approach to anything that we do. And that was one of the things that we sold to our student athletes.
Right.
I got there in March, and just to give you a brief, summary of the baseball program, I was the only coach that was on campus. None of our other coaches had been hired yet. We did not have – we knew we were going to play at Sims. There wasn't a baseball, a bat, a helmet, anything on the premises. I didn't have assistant coaches. I knew we were going to play at Sims, but I wasn't sure what that venue was going to look like and what that partnership was going to look like. I remember signing my first 2 student athletes and taking them to Dr. Hoosier and saying, hey, I got 2 scholarships. And he's like, great. And we high-fived. And I go, now what do I do with them? He said, I have no idea. Like, I don't know where we, send them. I don't know what we do. We got to figure out how to pay them. And I'm like, okay, this is interesting.
And and in the middle of COVID.
Right. And, well, yeah, and at the very end of COVID. And so now you're dealing with fifth-year COVID seniors and, all that stuff. And I was fortunate to get my 2 assistants, but then they had unbelievable years at their previous schools. Jacob Rand, my lead assistant, won a national championship at Wingate, so he didn't get there till later in the year. And then KJ McAllister was at North Carolina Central, and they had their best year in school history before they dropped the program. So I was by myself all the way through the end of May, and we managed to figure out a way, and we went a lot with Division I transfers. We had 14 Division I transfers our first year. Dr. Hoosier made it happen with the field turf project, right. And we spent about $1 million on that facility, which we are extremely happy with. And for us to be able to do what we did, we started the season, haven't played a game in 15 years. We did not lose a game in February. We were 15-0. We were undefeated. We ran off 19 straight before we lost our first game, and then we lost 1 and then won 10 more. So at one point we were 29-1. We finished the season at 41-9. We were ranked in the top 5 in the country in all 3 junior college polls. The New York Times did an article on how to build a junior college powerhouse. Their words, not mine. Their words, not mine, during the pandemic. So it could not have worked out any better. But in conjunction with that, it couldn't have worked out any better with our partnership and with how Kate and Caleb helped us. Right. I can't even tell you. Again, I encourage you to look at the quality of the production. I have people, wanting to donate money because they're like, hey, you guys only did the first game of the doubleheader. Well, we can't ask these kids to stay. I mean, it's part of their classes. Like, They can't be out there 8 hours, But, like, I know we've got guys going, well, my son's pitching game 2, and I want the same quality, right. show that they put on in the first game. And I'm like, hey, can we get through the year before we start worrying about all that stuff? But it was the same in basketball. I mean, I've looked at it all in softball. Regardless of how much success we have, the quality of the product from a video and technology, that never wavered. We might not have won as many games in some other sports, but we always knew what we were going to get when it came to the broadcast. So we've got to continue that, and I think it's just a huge advantage for us recruiting. I think it's a great program for young men and women if they're interested at all. And they both have so much passion for it that they keep me on my toes. And in my role as AD, I have to put on that hat. And if I don't get an email from them, both of them or one of them a day, I'm thinking something's wrong. So,
So you mentioned you answered partial of my next question. So how would you say with what you're able to do with the broadcasting team, how has that helped with recruiting and recognition? Again, my novice mind, I would think that just helps exposure. And so how has that affected or impacted what you're able to do?
Well, it really does. We live in a social media world, a social media age. Unfortunately, I'm probably the oldest guy sitting at the table. So I'm 51. I know the bald head fools you. I look like I'm 59, but that's dealing with these guys or 60. But
unfortunately, I got you by a year.
But and all of our assistant coaches, they are on Twitter and Facebook, and they're using, clips and snippets from, the broadcasts and the games, and we use that a ton. And then, people ask me, well, where did you get that? We had a walk-off home run when we went 15-0 in February, our last game in February to do that, which was incredible. The fact that you could go a month without losing a game in baseball, as you well know, that just doesn't happen.
Right.
They captured it, and we used it. I mean, and we got so many retweets and so many likes and people coming in and those things. I mean, kids eat that up.
Yeah.
I don't live in that world. I'll be completely honest, but my 2 assistants do. Like they are
sure.
all about it because they're younger And you know, I laugh about it. I said, y'all go Insta, Face, Snap, whatever the heck you do. You know, get it out there, right?
On them interwebs.
That's right. Yeah, get it on that daggone interweb. So, you know, that way it works out. And when we have that video, it just shows, again, the quality of the product, but it shows our guys and the enthusiasm and what we're building, and it shows it at every single athletic venue, and you can't put a price tag on that.
This is what I like to say, and to piggyback off what Coach is saying, you have to imagine when you've got athletes where their parents can't be at the game, they're making an entire day out of watching the stream. That's what the family is doing that day. They're grilling out. They're inviting Meemaw, Pawpaw, brothers, cousins. They're sitting in front of the flat screen. They're putting the stream on, and that's what they're doing that day is watching, you know, their brother or cousin play. It's a huge deal for them. And then when you think about the younger, you know, the athletes themselves, they're all, you know, everything they do is social media driven. Like the moment they hit that home run, they're probably rounding the bases thinking, I can put that clip on my Twitter when I get home. I mean, it's a huge thing. Like that's the athletes love it, and they it's honestly so good for them. If they slam dunk or hit a home run, they should be able to put that out and bring some attention to them, and it only helps them in their careers going forward. Sure.
Well, and our goal, I mean, let's keep in mind we're a 2-year college, and you know, one of the things that we quote unquote sell, if you will, is, hey, we're going to come in here. I'm very aware that the student athletes that we have, the transfers and the quality of player that we're getting for the baseball program. I say it all the time. I know you don't have a Gaston College poster on your wall. I mean, I get it. If you do, please get me one because I don't have it. But we are a means to an end. We're a junior. We are going to help you get to where you want to go, and it's the same thing that they're doing. And the more the information that we can push out to 4-year coaches, and the more stuff that's on the internet or on Team One Sports, we use it as a teaching tool. And I can also call a Division I. I mean, I've called a couple of coaches and said, "Hey, man, check out Team One Sports. You can watch him play." Like he's like, "Well, I can't get over there this weekend." I said, "Well, he went 4 for 5 in his last game. Go to Team One Sports. Google, find this game, and there's enough views." Different views, camera views that they can actually get and we use it also as a teaching tool. We'll sit down our guys, and I always like it when a kid strikes out and he says, "Oh, that pitch is, it's in the other batter's box, coach." And then I'll go look at the video and I'll go, "Come here," and I'll bring him in. I'll bring him in on Monday. Said that's like right down the middle. So don't tell me that. But so many different uses and forms and functions. But at the end of the day, it's about pushing out information, pushing out our product. And it would be hard to do if the product wasn't so well done. But kudos to on my left and my right, because the product is unbelievable. It's like I said, it's as good as any of the Division I places that I've worked at, and I've worked at a bunch. If you looked at my resume, I think I've got 9 different spots. So I'm extremely excited. We just got to continue to grow it, and that's kind of why we're here today.
Okay, so Kate, come back to you. I'm not sure this is the way to word this question. So obviously, we're the last few minutes focusing on the sports, and you mentioned at the beginning all the other things you're doing. So what are there other initiatives, programs, maybe some of the successes you've seen in your time with the broadcast? Am I saying that right, the broadcast program, or how would you word that at Gaston College?
The title is Broadcast and Production Technology is the name of the program, which it may be changing, but won't share what that is. We've had a lot of successes over the years. I do think sports is probably our biggest thing that we've started from the ground up since I've been there, because literally we started with an idea and we were like, oh no, once we got the game schedules. I mean, the first year, we didn't have any schedules. Nobody would call us back. I was texting and calling, and I was like, oh my God, what did I get myself into? I mean, we were panicking a little bit at the beginning.
Imagine a room full of students, and they're ready to film sports. They're like, I'm ready. When is it? And we go, we don't know.
We're asking you to sign up for this class, but we don't know when the games are. And then they're like, we're like, yeah, but there's no internet at the park. So we battled everything from
well, what they don't know is we didn't know when the games were yet.
Yeah. No,
we didn't even have players yet. So we were all, again, I liken it to, building the plane as we were flying it, and Kate's going, when are you guys playing? I'm like, I don't have enough players to play. Yeah.
And we were trying to jump on the wing of the plane, being take us with you.
Exactly. That sounds like that sounds like actually kind of a good life lesson, because frankly, I've been around long enough now. There are so many things that's actually how things happen.
It was
right?
production in a nutshell.
Yeah,
it was production.
It was so exciting though, because like every day something new was happening. And honestly, with the pandemic, like, not to say we were a little bored, but we weren't able to do production like we love to do production.
Right.
So we were having to do our classes online, and things were starting to feel a little stale because we weren't able to do what we love in the way that we love it. So this was a way for us to kind of reinvent ourselves, bring on something new, and then we were able to ramp up our regular production in the other way. So it just really like excited us again about our jobs and doing what we love.
The program for years and years before we had sports has pumped out people to local news stations and radio stations. It's done that on its own for years.
Right.
The idea with sports is now we can maybe pump students to things like the Honey Hunters or the Knights or the Checkers and get them into the working sports broadcasting world, not just bigger than just, radio or TV. It's the whole world of broadcasting.
And maybe expand the interest of
NASCAR.
Of students,
I mean,
potential students
truly,
as well.
truthfully, when you experience the program at Gaston, what Kate said is true. You really are. You end up being a Swiss Army knife of production. You could literally go into sort of whatever you want, ideally. Whatever you feel like you were the most passionate about, ideally, once you're done with the program, you've got enough skills to try and really pursue that. If you want to go into sports broadcasting, you can, or if you want to write news stories behind the scenes and never be on camera, that you're trained for that as well. It truly is you become a Swiss Army knife of broadcasting. I use that term a lot.
Yeah, where did you come up with that? That's pretty good.
I'm going to steal that.
I use that I say that all the time. I mean, think about it. You're learning in the classroom, then you're learning at a music, doing music, then you're learning writing TV, then you're actually on location at a live sports game, troubleshooting while there's guys running the bases or players dunking and crowds screaming. When you come out of that, that's a lot of training that you really are ready. You're ready to go into the live production world and start making some money. And to students that, that's their motivation is the feeling like they have direction, feeling like when they're in the program, they know by the end of it, they should have an idea of where they're going. The last thing we want is someone to just graduate the program and be like, well, that was fun. Now what?
Yeah, I would even go so far to say, and even in our world here, the classroom stuff is super important, but it's the real world.
Yeah,
it's the real world stuff is where you really learn it and really get that experience that will take you to whatever you want to do next. Specifically your broadcast, but also related to the sports, but in general, I mean, where do y'all see this going? What do you have any secret plans now that you can share, or where do you see the broadcast program in? Again, I'm sorry, I'm using the wrong term again because I have a short memory. Where do you see it going? A couple years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, is the sports program going to change? Is the broadcasting going to change? I mean, what do you see in the next few years?
Well, we do have some big changes coming at the state level for the program, which I can't share because they haven't been approved.
Yeah, some of them are secret.
So you could tell us, but you'd have to kill all of us in the room.
Exactly.
Okay.
We are looking at, hopefully, this has not been approved, but hopefully starting a sports broadcasting program.
Okay.
So that would be its own arm as part of our broadcasting classes, but its own program called Sports Media Technology. We're hoping to start that in fall of 2023, but that has not been approved, so that's still all in discussion. So that's like the main area of growth that we're looking at right now, but there's some big changes to our curriculum coming, which will change kind of what we teach, and it's really going to benefit the students and everything else. So those are our big areas of growth, but they haven't been approved, so I can't share what they are, but they're very exciting.
Okay. What about the sports? Sports.
Well, right now we have 5. I know we haven't really talked about that. I'm sorry. Sometimes I forget that it's AD baseball coach, not baseball coach AD. Yeah. So I need to.
It's all good.
I need to make sure that I give credit to everybody that we have. We right now we have men's basketball, we have baseball, we have softball, we have women's cross country, and we have women's beach volleyball, which our guys are really excited for next women's beach volleyball season, which I'm going to have to try to schedule games every time they play.
I can only imagine.
I get it. I mean, that's the way it goes. But just so many positive things. I mean, our basketball team last year won 18 games. They were only a game or two out of first had we been eligible for postseason. Obviously, baseball won the league, and we would have been the number one seed in the conference tournament. Softball had a little rougher year, but in defense of softball, they got started a lot later. Michael came in from Syracuse University, and he didn't get done with his season until way after I started. And so they were a club team last year. I can tell you, I know I've signed who they've recruited. They have gone from 9 players to 20, and they look different, and that's all I'll say. I mean, they just look different. They look more athletic. And Michael's credentials speak for himself. He's in Japan right now helping Team USA.
Oh, wow.
At that level. And so we expect big things from the softball program coming into this year. We finally got a full-time cross-country coach, so we feel like that program will start to take off. And Rachel played professional beach volleyball. So, it's just about getting the numbers to where we need them. Once folks come in here and see the success rate that we have and where we're sending kids, I expect big things. I mean, Dr. Hoosier and I have talked about adding sports, not going to get into that, what sports and when. He did call me last week and brought me in and said, "Hey, man, what do you think about football?" And I about hit the floor, and he goes, "I'm just joking." I said, "Okay, good." I was like, "You got to be kidding me."
I know enough. I know just enough to understand the difference between what's required for college football versus.
But men's and women's soccer, men's and women's golf, just some of the things that we've kicked around. Esports obviously is a huge thing now. I have no idea what that even means, but sorry about that.
It's all right.
Totally unprofessional with my phone on, but
that's exactly what I meant earlier. Is where anything that I mess up, we'll edit out, but anything that happens to you, we just leave it in.
Oh, okay, great. So
like the phone, yeah.
Exactly. So I'm excited about where we're going. I do think that all of our programs are on solid footing. And again, the one common thread to that is any good organization starts with leadership at the top. And what Dr. Hoosier's provided is that leadership and a direction that he has passed down to me, that I passed down to, our coaches. And we understand the bar set pretty high. I've never been in a program where, we were 41-9 last year, and I think Doc said, "Well, I really thought you could have won like 45." I was like, "Are you serious?" And he's like, "Well, there's a couple of games." So he follows them all. He follows every sport. He goes to every sport. He's extremely excited about what the people to my left and right are doing because, again, it's about getting Gaston College's name out there. And we're thrilled to be here, and the opportunities that we've had have been unbelievable.
So this will go to, first to Kate and Caleb both. So, knowing this is a podcast about Gaston County and all the good things happening around Gaston County, and there are a lot, that's kind of the point of why we're doing this.
Absolutely.
But to you guys, look, why would you say Gaston County specifically is better because of what you're doing there at the college?
Well, I think we do a lot for the community besides bringing Gaston College games to everyone's living room by inviting local bands in, featuring local businesses and community members on our show. I feel like we do a lot to contribute to the community as well as train Gaston County young people.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was going to hit on. We're serving the community by taking young people like myself who maybe didn't know what direction they wanted to take, and then sparking, a little flame in them that grows, that they end up realizing, hey, I can go out and make some money doing something I like, and then they ultimately go through the program and land the job, and they would have never thought they'd be able to do that. So that's how I think we help the community is we train them up, get them out in the working world. And if you ask me, there's no better job field than working in sports.
Yeah, I think if somebody asked me in college what I really wanted to do, even though I was in engineering school, I would have said, I want to be the lifetime NC State radio guy.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
Absolutely.
No doubt.
To follow the sports teams around everywhere.
It is an absolute blast.
Oh, yeah.
Doing live sports production is a blast.
But the fact that I couldn't speak very well or, do anything about radio or broadcasting, here I am. Now I don't know what we call this.
And this is a sports-driven area.
Yeah, it is.
So it's a huge deal to pump people out into the working world of it. We invented NASCAR, so NASCAR is huge around here to start pumping people out into that working world.
I'm working on that. I'm working on NASCAR being huge. I try. I do. I try to watch.
So we've been telling all the students, too, that even if you're not super interested in sports, so to be honest, I'm not 100% a sports person. I'm a production person. But, you know, I have an Emmy for high school football, for a high school football sports promotion. I know literally nothing about football. You can translate those skills to many things in this industry, and you don't have to be the sportiest person out there. If you know the production skills, you can learn the sport.
So did you just say you have an Emmy?
Yeah, I do.
She does.
I do.
So,
and it's ironically for a high school football campaign, and I know nothing about football.
This might blow your mind.
So Gaston's Great just got on a whole new level.
Yeah, it did. She's from the Discovery Channel. Yeah, for sure.
Well, I'm speechless.
Go Kate.
Because this is we have made the big time.
Yeah, push the clap button. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's fantastic. But that's a good point. I mean, and I do think something for me growing up, I learned so much, frankly, from athletics. I mean, and mostly probably being on a team and being other people relying on you, and so and then now what you're talking about, there's so many things that can come from sports, and if nothing else, just more interest in the college, right? I mean, if nothing else. So, Shohn, how would you answer that question? You know, why is Gaston County better? Because of what the college has done with the new sports athletic program.
Right. I've been amazed at the response that we've gotten from, you know, local schools and local coaches. Obviously, everybody thinks that they have a player that can play for you, and that's fine. We'll go watch everybody, and we attempt to, you know, get as many local kids as we can. Obviously, we look for the best talent, but I think it just infuses, you know, I can't tell how many people I say, I miss the, what was the CPL team that played over there for years?
The Grizzlies?
Yeah, I miss the Grizzlies, you know, I miss that atmosphere. I miss that. And so we're kind of trying to hit that market and replace that. And I've had some people from downtown Dallas that the dad owns a upholstery shop, and he's at every one of our games, and he brings out four or five of his buddies, and, you know, they sit there and talk, and, you know, baseball's that game. You've been around it your whole life. So, you know, we had maybe 2 promotional days, and on both of those, we hit over 300 or 400 people, which is unheard of for junior college athletics. It's unheard of. We feel like if we can continue to hit that market, that can be a regular goal as opposed to something that we just do once in a while. There are some things we might do down the left field line. I'm not going to get into those. Everybody knows what the left field line was at the Grizzlies games.
I spent a lot of time in the Grizzlies games.
So we are still looking at possibly doing something along those lines. But I think the biggest value that we give is a little bit of pride and sense in the community.
Oh, absolutely.
You know? And I think there were a ton of people that I did not know that said, "Man, what a year you guys had!" And where do I get tickets? And how do we, you know? And so now the goal is we got to market it better. We got to get the schedules out sooner. We've got to, and you know, we can do those things as we go. But again, in year one, man, we were just trying to make sure we had competitive teams.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
And now we're into the point where it's like, all right, what can we do to really push this? You know, we're not a threat to the Honey Hunters. Our season starts in February and ends in May, and they're just getting started at that time. So we don't look like that we're in competition with them in any of our sports. We have one venue for basketball this year, thank goodness, so that everybody's going to know, right? So everybody's going to know where the games are.
Where is that? Or is that
it's going to be at Ashbrook High School, you know, where James Worthy played. So we're excited about that.
We're familiar with Ashbrook High School.
They're bringing back some memories back there. But Ashbrook High School, we're going to have basically, obviously, Sims Park for the baseball games. Last year, softball had to play at Martha Rivers. Part of my job as athletic director, try to find something. And I have to give props to the Honey Hunters, Veronica John, who's over there and involved. You know, Veronica, I'm sure.
Yeah,
we had lengthy discussions, and we are actually going to play the first 2 months of our softball season. We're going to get a temp fence, and we're going to play at the Pro Park for softball.
Wow. Well, that's fantastic.
So that gives them an opportunity to Title IX all the way, baby. I'm all about it.
Absolutely.
Let that be said right now on the podcast. Athletic Director Doty is all about Title IX. So, you know, we just have so many exciting things going on, and I think what Gaston really wants is to have that sense of pride and that sense of community, and that's what I want us to be. I want that to be, hey, let's go to a basketball game tonight, or let's go to a softball game, or let's go to a baseball game. And all those sports are competitive, and all those sports have a chance to win championships, because the reality of it is, if we were 9-41 last year, you wouldn't be sitting here talking to me. If we were 41-9, that's a little easier to sell the programs and to sell what we're doing.
Well, that's probably actually Lisa probably wouldn't make me do this anyway.
Oh, okay.
So I think one great point is communities are looking for. I mean, they're looking for like a college affiliation, right?
Absolutely.
And sports is, for better or worse, it can be that thing that kind of brings the community together around a college. And listen, Belmont Abbey's terrific, but even it's not Gastonia.
That's right.
So I appreciate
and how cool is the mascot, right, with the rhino and all that?
I was going to, I'm glad you brought that. I was going to go there. When I remember the big announcement, and man, I was like, because I had no idea. Nobody cheated and told me beforehand. And my first reaction as a longtime Gastonia resident and person with athletic background was, it's unique. You never heard it before. When I first saw the logo, I was like, "What? This is really good." So even for me, I was
sharp.
It is,
sharp.
yeah. I absolutely agree.
Well, when you look at it on Sims Park and the whole body rhino and Mo and everything else, and then you can do the head. There's so many different. I love the color schemes. Mm-hmm. I mean, again, when you're building a first year program, that stuff really does matter.
Yeah.
And as the saying goes, I've told guys, I said, hey, there's all kinds of tigers and lions and bears, and there's only one rhino, baby, at any level in college sports, and that's right here at Gaston College.
And there's only two wolf pack, just for the record as well. And the other one is way out west.
It is way out west, Nevada, if I'm not mistaken.
That's correct. Yeah.
Yes.
So sorry, I had to get that plug in. So, guys, this has really been good. Is there any questions I haven't asked? Anything else that that just comes to mind that you really want to make sure our listeners are hear about? And again, before we finish up, we'll make sure we know website or how to get tickets, how to get involved with the broadcast program. Anything, that's kind of the last thing we'll do. But any other questions I haven't asked? Or
So I think you should plug the beach volleyball facility, because that's a new facility on campus,
That's
which
right.
is pretty cool, bringing
It
people
is.
into the community, a place for people to play.
Right.
Isn't that the first home field we've ever had, or did the school have a gym back then? It's the first home.
You're putting me on the spot of 50 years ago. So
yeah,
I'm
you know
pretty
what?
sure
I
it's
don't know.
it's the first home field ever.
Might be. I don't know.
It might be.
Yeah.
So we did construct a 5-court beach volleyball facility.
Oh wow.
That will have. Right now, we're in the process of putting kind of a hut out there where you can kind of shower off, get the sand off of you. It's the first one of its kind. I know it's the first one built in the North Carolina NJCAA system. We're in the process of branding it and putting the fencing up and everything else. We're going to use it in the summers for hopefully beach volleyball tournaments for the community. So that's where the community piece comes in. There's a lot of, apparently, 25 to 30. My daughter's 26, and she's in a sand league, and it's a big deal. And and we're going to have courts to have the ability to do that, to host tournaments, to host youth tournaments, to make it, the transition. Apparently, I'm learning as AD. You have to learn, and there's certain sand that you want and certain sand you don't want. Those are the type of things that I didn't think I'd ever need to know that I do now learn on a daily basis. So, just community tournaments, hosted a league. It is the first one of its kind in the state of North Carolina. It's going to continue to get bigger, and it is our first athletic facility that is actually on campus. As much as I love Sims, and I would never trade Sims, beach is obviously the first. Still trying to figure out where softball is going to be. Originally, we had thought that maybe where the Sims was. Now we're thinking we might put that on campus as well. Okay. Dr. Hughes has got giant plans, and we would love to have 4 venues on campus. That would be the ultimate goal, and I think we're working towards that. But
it really is a beautiful campus.
It really is. Mm-hmm. I mean, so when we bring in 4-year students from a baseball perspective, the 2 things that I will tell you is this isn't what I thought a junior college campus would look like, and the other part of that is, you actually have a town that's 5 minutes away.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one thing, the typical junior college has a 7-Eleven in the school, right? I mean, we have Gastonia, 84,000 people. Oh, and by the way, if you were off on Sunday, hop down to Charlotte and you can go watch the Panthers play, or you can. So for college kids, and they need that. They need a social life, and then the influx of folks that we're bringing in. I mean, we're going to have 100 student athletes. Well, they all have to have a place to live. So we're putting money back into the community. Unfortunately, my assistant coaches decided it would be funny. When I took this job, we were in such a hurry to get sports off the ground. I took the very first apartment that I could find at the Village of Ballantyne over here. I said, hey, give it to me. Boom. I'm in. I'm rolling. Of course, I'm a single man. I need, a 70-inch TV and a fridge, and I'm great. So, but at the time, I was by myself. So I had my pool time and everything at night and all that good stuff. Well, my assistants this year decided that it would be awesome if they put 14 of my guys at the Village of Ballantyne. And they didn't tell me until like 2 days ago. And I said, I'm sorry, what? And they said, we got like 14 dudes living with you, Coach. I'm like, that does not work for me. But my point is 40 guys. So, 20 folks coming in here and getting apartments, and then basketball the same way, softball. I mean, we're going to infuse the community. Yeah. And then we want to host tournaments. We want to host a tournament at Sims. We want to host tournaments when we get the venues built, so that we're putting heads in beds for the community, and that we're making sure that, they're getting something out of it. The city's getting something out of it as well. So the venture has been an amazingly fast journey, but I think it's one now that we have, I do knock, that does echo, sorry.
Yeah, that's all right.
That we have a handle on, and that we can present to the city and say, hey, this is what we're bringing, other than just the value of having sports. And I'm excited about that and that continued partnership with them.
Very good. Caleb or Kate, anything you want to add to that before we move on to these super important questions that we have?
I don't believe so. Maybe Boss Lady might have something to share.
I don't have anything to share.
Well, this has been great. Like I said, we'll be sure to swing back around and make sure our listeners know how they get involved, or just make sure that all that's clear. But this is a podcast about Gaston County, and we're going to call this. I have some questions that I ask every episode, and we don't really ask the guest opinions on the questions or not. We just do it anyway. So we're going to call this our Rhino Speed Round of Questions.
I love it.
Good. Is it a good name?
Rhinos can be pretty fast.
Okay. So, Kate, we'll start with you, and this is a super important question. What is your favorite Tony's ice cream flavor?
I sadly have not had Tony's ice cream, but I plan to try it really soon.
You got to do something.
I know I live in Charlotte. I'm sorry.
You live in Charlotte? Well, we won't hold that against you.
Wow. I mean, that's like a triple.
Shohn, what about you? Have you had Tony's ice cream?
I can neither confirm nor deny that I've had Tony's. No, I have not. Go ahead.
I'll save the podcast here.
Wow.
I was born and raised in this area.
So
Tony's chocolate ice cream milkshake. I mean, it sounds classic, sounds basic, but there's something special in that chocolate ice cream. It's a great milkshake.
So we may be going down an interesting rabbit hole with if you haven't had Tony's ice cream. What about Sundrop or Cheerwine?
Oh, Cheerwine.
Oh, okay.
Sundrop.
You're outvoted there.
It's okay.
So, Caleb, stay with you. Favorite local restaurant?
Pita Wheel.
Webb's.
Oh, wow. So you're outvoted that time. Yeah, I have to admit I just had
I'll stand
Pita
alone
Wheel.
for Pita.
Yeah, Pita Wheel.
Pita
Wheel is
Wheel,
good. Besides Gaston College athletics, what is your favorite outdoor activity in Gaston County? Kate, stay with you.
I guess Rankin Lake Park, because we do a lot of stuff there.
Yeah, that's close to the college.
I have several players that played for me at Charlotte and other places that play for the Honey Hunters. So
do you?
I hang. Zach Jarrett played for me, and Reese Hampton played for me, and I'm really good friends with their manager and their hitting coach. And I love going over, because everybody's favorite thing to do is second guess baseball coaches, right? I mean, that's what everybody loves to do that, because everybody played baseball. Their dads coached it.
Oh, I'm smart.
So I just literally sit right next to the dugout, and like if if we call him Goose, Mario Guzzo, he's the
Yeah.
head coach for the Honey Hunters, and I'm like, Goose, are you really taking him out right now? I enjoy the heck out of that because I know people are doing that to me, so I get to do it.
That's
I get
funny.
to do it to them for a few days. So yeah, the Honey Hunters, I love going.
Yeah, that's a good place. A great
That
location.
was going to be my answer too. I mean, that facility is incredible, and I just drove past it the other day, and I saw they've added like a little kid play area, and
the
I thought
Franklin
that's a great
side. Yep.
addition too. I mean, they really are trying to do all they can to get the community out there and have something to enjoy. So that's the newest spot right now. I love that ballpark. I love the team too. It's a competitive team. I love the baseball.
Well, they're having a terrific season.
Just all around. It's a,
Maybe
it's a
they were
great
maybe they
thing.
were inspired by the Rhinos season, inaugural season.
Yeah.
That's what I told Goose. I said, hey man, we won 41, so you probably need to get it going.
Absolutely. All right, so this is actually the most important question of the entire podcast, and there's only one correct answer. So, Caleb, I'll start with you. UNC Duke or NC State?
Okay, so this is actually, it's not even a secret. It's actually tattooed on me. There's a Tar Heel logo. That's Michael Jordan.
Oh, no.
And then this is Tyler Hansborough from when I was a kid growing up in the early 2000s. I mean, that was my childhood, is at Grandma's house watching the Tar Heels do what they did in those 2000s, man. That was a huge part of my childhood. And, you know, born and raised and will die a Tar Heel fan.
We got to do a better job of getting information about our guests before
Pre-screen your guests a little bit better.
Yeah. Well, again, it wasn't a secret. I mean, I walked in here with the logo right there.
Actually, my brain didn't comprehend any of that because it won't. It blocks out anything that has to do with, even though I married a Tar Heel, I have to admit. Shohn, do you have an answer to that question?
I'm from Arkansas.
We
has an excuse.
We won't hold that against you either.
I played there, coached there, so I mean, I'm pretty much do or die Razorback. But for the sake of this show, for you and John Hoosier, and I didn't get to be AD without being a really good brown nose. Let's go freaking Pack! I'm all about it. NC State.
All right.
NC State.
We'll ignore the Dallas Cowboy shirt as well.
Absolutely.
Kate.
I don't care that much.
Wah, wah, wah.
That's the best answer of the day.
She's
actually.
a production person. What do you want?
And I'm Northern, so you know, we'll go.
She likes hockey.
We'll go UNC.
Are you a hockey fan? Are you a hockey fan?
I am a hockey fan. I'm from Boston, so like
Bruins?
yes, I love hockey.
Yeah, I'm a Hurricanes fan. The Hurricanes fans hate the Boston Bruins.
Okay.
Yeah, because the Bruins typically have ruined most of their seasons.
Right.
I do love hockey, though. I would love for Gaston to have a hockey team someday. I know probably because of the climate that'll never happen.
Well,
We can send some of our students
could
to
be
work
the
for the
next-
Checkers
Get on
Show.
it, John.
Yeah, I'll get right on that.
the Rhinos, that would be a
That's a legit hockey team.
jersey.
Skating
Yeah.
Rhino.
Absolutely.
All right, Kate, we're going to stay with you. What is something very few people know about you?
Okay. I was a professional dinner theater actor for a while. That's weird.
That's
Perfect
definitely-
answer.
There you go,
Absolutely.
Shohn.
That's
That is
really good.
definitely something that
Follow-
no one would know about you.
Follow that, Shohn.
That's difficult. So obviously my frame, my physicality, I'm going to semi-brag here, but I'm the only person in the state of Arkansas, just so you know this, that has ever been all-state baseball, all-state football, and all-state choir. I can sing.
Oh, my.
Yeah, I know.
What?
And
Then
I
you're
met
gonna
a-
record in our studio.
I actually can sing, and I met a lot more young females in my younger days singing than they didn't care about me playing football, but I could sing, and they really liked that. So
My view on
I
this
stayed
man
with
has
that.
totally changed.
Me too.
Totally changed.
That's why we
You're
do
gonna
that.
record in your
That's
studio.
why we do the podcast. That's actually why we do it, so we can learn information like that. So are you the national anthem singer at?
I
He
will
should
not-
be.
I
He will be now.
I will not sing during our games. I'm way too keyed up to do that. But
That is true. Yeah, game day wouldn't be a good day.
But no, I still enjoy it to this day. Every once in a while, I'll gather up a couple of buddies and we'll find a karaoke bar and knock one out of the park. So we'll see what happens.
Let me see some of that video proof. Caleb, what about something?
I mean, I guess I mentioned it earlier. I didn't know this question was coming, but probably that being in this production field, people don't know that I grew up an athlete.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
part of my love for this job is I feel like this job is perfect for me because it's the two halves of me slammed together as one.
Yeah.
Like I grew up knowing I had to go early to church to help set up the microphone. So I knew production, and then I grew up an athlete. So that I was an athlete. I mean, my whole younger life I played Pop Warner football and was a quarterback, and then went on to be a pitcher in high school. And Doty actually would say I had a good curveball. I'm putting him on the spot here.
No, that's true. We actually, so funny story before the broadcast.
That's how new like all this was when Gaston announced athletics. Like I'm thinking, oh my gosh, is this my shot to play again? Like that was my initial thought. That's how new and how out there this really was. Is my initial reaction was
we worked him out, and he does have a good breaking ball.
Thank you. So it's on podcast record.
He does have a good.
It's on the record. It's on the record now.
The issue is you could catch him barehanded. He doesn't throw nearly hard enough.
But he has a
like really good.
Well, here's my defense. I hadn't played since high school, right? I played in high school, then didn't play. Thought my career was over, and here comes Gaston announcing they're bringing it back. I thought, shoot, let me try before I'm too old. But I'm actually glad I did what I ended up doing because I love what I'm doing.
It worked out perfectly.
Yeah, it worked out great. Yeah, now I'm buddies with Coach, so it's great.
But you still thought about it though, didn't you?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I'll take that. I'm actually proud of that. I mean, this man's look. This is going to blow the podcast away too. But this man's dealt with Justin Verlander in the past, and he said I had a good curveball. So I'm okay.
Verlander's pretty.
I recruited and coached him at Old Dominion.
Oh wow!
And his coach said I had a good curveball.
And he did not give me one dime of that $4 million signing bonus that he got when he left Old Dominion. So
you could put his name and the Cy Young Award together in the same
Absolutely.
sentence. Wow.
Absolutely.
All right, so Kate, back to you. So we'll be wrapping this up just in a couple minutes. But you have a book or article or blog that you follow, something you'd recommend to our listeners?
I don't know. I mean, I follow a lot of like tech blogs because I'm like a tech nerd. I don't know. I'll get back to me on that.
All right.
As far as podcasts go, and if you're a sports guy and if you're a baseball guy, the ABCA, American Baseball Coaches Association podcasts are amazing. Different folks are on there, from Tim Corbin at Vanderbilt to, talking about different things. I actually was asked to be on an ABCA podcast about 2 weeks ago, and I think that's out now.
Okay.
So it's a really good source of information. And then if you want to hear an old fat guy tell his story, it's on there as well. So
very good. Thank you for sharing that.
I don't know if I would say I have like a podcast, but I will shout out a local Charlotte sports radio. I've never been someone in my life. I'm 26, so you can probably imagine that radio has always been like not really in the forefront of what I do. If I'm in the car, I'm plugging up my phone or whatever. Yeah. So I've never really been a radio guy, but since I've taken the position and been involved with college athletics more, it's kind of sparked that in me to now I catch myself riding around listening to, I believe it's 92.7, the Charlotte sports talk station. It was Nick Wilson, but I think he actually just left. I think he I remember hearing his farewell or something. But I enjoy listening to that Charlotte station a lot, man.
Very
Especially
good.
Now with like Panthers training camp picking back up, and they're able to talk to guys.
Here we go.
Coming off the field like that. I mean, it's fun stuff. So I'm enjoying that.
Ask them how badly they're going to beat the Cowboys.
I was going to say.
right.
Here we go.
Right now it's all Baker Mayfield talk, which is fun. Baker and Sam talk. I like that. So.
Yeah, I hope that works out for the Panthers and for him. I like seeing guys getting a second chance somewhere fresh.
Mm-hmm, sure.
And maybe that'll be a good place for him and for the Panthers. So last couple of questions. Kate, come back to you again. Kind of sticking on our Gaston's great themes. So besides Gaston College, why do you think Gaston? Even though you live in Charlotte,
it's okay.
Why is Gaston County such a great place?
I think Gaston County has a lot to offer. I mean, between parks and restaurants, and there's many different things. Belmont Abbey. I think there's a lot in Gaston County. There's a lot of hidden gems.
Sure.
I really like Belmont.
Yeah. Again, appreciate that.
Yeah, I think it's just the sense of community, and you can go from 84,000 to go over to Dallas and just see that. I mean, they have bands that come and play on the weekends, and just they don't do that stuff in bigger towns, you know, and you can go to Belmont and literally just walk down one street and see so many different things, so many eclectic views, and I just enjoy that, and again, the sense of pride that Gastonians have in Gaston and Gaston County is obviously very evident.
Caleb, what about you?
I would say that, I mean, I was born and raised here my whole life, so I want to give a local shout out, and I would say that you have your outliers in society everywhere, but I truly believe that the majority of Gastonia people are genuine, like, nice people that are small town, friendly people. They're not going to treat you like, their first reaction is not to be hostile to
Right.
you or whatever. Like, it's genuinely still that small town. Even it might sound cliche, but sort of American happiness, that country small town feel that everyone's happy and everyone's considered family and welcome. That's the atmosphere that I'm proud of from around here, and I feel like that's always been present. I mean, you whether it's a restaurant or just meeting someone anywhere around here, most people are generally just nice people.
I absolutely agree. The people
here,
really make the county. And you've got 3 other Gastonia originals here in the room, even though one went to East Gaston. We won't hold that against you either.
So that's my answer: is people are just genuinely still, like, their first reaction is to be friendly. It's just a good small town energy here.
All right, last question, and I say this every episode, is my favorite question. I'll stick with you, Kay, but I know this might be a little tougher for you because it's just been a couple of years ago. But knowing what you know now, what advice would you give your 20-year-old self?
That is going to be tough for me.
It's only 30-some years ago for me.
I guess I would say, keep your head down, because at 20, I didn't know I'd be doing this, and I didn't know that Kate would let me do sports broadcast. I didn't know John Hooser would approve me to do it. So I would say to myself, if keep believing in yourself, because seriously, like we mentioned earlier, it literally was just an idea of us doing, like, hey, we're already doing sports. We already do broadcasting. If we don't take our students and let them be the ones broadcasting the games, someone else is going to. Whether it's like a station that we're paying to come do
Sure.
it, it's going to happen. So we might as well let it be our students and use it as, like, learning and teaching. So,
Oh, very good. Shohn?
I don't know if I can remember that far back, but I would say that not to be in a hurry. College coaching is an unusual business, as you can probably imagine. I've had 9 Division I jobs in however many years. There are a few that I wish I hadn't taken, and there are a few that I wish I had stayed at longer. And I think it's about enjoying the moment. I think that's the one thing I've learned. People ask me all the time after this year, hey, you thinking about going D1 or anything? I said, no. I said, this is such a really cool journey. I mean, where else do you get to leave a legacy of never having a program or
Sure.
not having a program in 50 years and building it into a program that I think we can win national championships, in all of our sports. I truly believe that. So take it easy. Don't get in a hurry for the next best thing, because sometimes the next best thing isn't the next best thing.
Right.
And enjoy the moment.
Very good.
I think I would tell my 20-year-old self, like, don't be afraid of your path changing. Because when I started college, I wanted to be an actor, and look where I am now. And I couldn't be happier about what I'm doing.
Well, good.
So your path has changed, and different opportunities have led me in different directions. And I would just tell myself not to be afraid of that, because
You're probably wondering, why am I talking to a guy in a yellow penguin suit and shirt and in the conference room of an air
things
conditioning
change,
company?
but often you find opportunities in the most unusual places. And
Absolutely. That's great advice. Guys, this has really been good. So obviously, the main point is to make our listeners aware, the community more aware of the broadcasting that's education and program there, and talk a little bit about the sports program. So where can our listeners go to learn more? There might be a parent listening and know their child might be interested in this type of thing. So where can we send them to find more information, get involved, or whatever?
Okay, for sports, we've got the gcrhinos.com and the Team One Sports app. YouTube, we've got Gaston Spotlight, which has all our TV shows on there. We also have GC Video Production, which is our YouTube channel that showcases all the student projects. So you can check that out if you're interested in video production, things like that. We also have a Spreaker channel, a podcast channel. That's called Gaston Spotlight as well. So people can check out that to listen to student podcasts. Anything I'm missing, Caleb?
That GCRhinos.com really is something special.
Okay.
I mean, it looks super professional. All the athletic information's there. That Rhinos website is awesome.
Oh, yeah. If you're interested in the program, you can email me, as
Okay.
Lisa is mouthing to me over here, at Carmody, Carmody, Kate, Kate, at gaston.edu.
So I can't let this go. The magical voice in the background is Lisa Jers, who is in the room with us, who is, I don't know how would I describe Lisa, extraordinaire head of
Dean of Career and Technical Education.
Dean of Career and Technical
Yeah.
Education. I actually knew that, but I'm trying to think of a better way to give her a hard time because I've known her for 40 years maybe. And she's much younger than me.
She knows everyone.
Yes, she does.
Literally everyone.
All right, guys. Any last words before we wrap this episode up?
I'd just like to say how much, not to speak on behalf of these guys, but how much we appreciate you having us. And
Sure.
It's anytime we have an opportunity, you can tell the passion that we
Absolutely.
have. Absolutely,
It comes through clearly
And,
from all three of you.
I believe in that, and I believe that passion will get us to where we want to go. And anytime we have the platform to sing the praises of Gaston College, we're going to do it. Anytime we have the platform to sing the praises of what these guys do in the broadcasting and technology. I mean, I'm telling you, go check it out, watch it. You won't believe the quality of, it's like watching a pro baseball game on TV. It really is. The quality is that good. And then from, an athletic department perspective, come check us out. Games are free. Right now, we're not charging.
Okay.
We're going to let everybody know where the venues are, the sites, the schedules will be out in the fall. We have really good teams, and I'm excited about the direction that these teams are going. This is our first year that we're eligible for postseason.
Okay.
So every one of our teams has a chance to win a national championship. We're all 0-0, and
that's good.
that's a great time to. We talk about our student athletes. Hey, get in on it on the ground floor. Hey, Gaston community, get in on the ground floor.
Right.
Come get in with us, and then let's build this thing together when we do go to our first national championship or we do win our first championship. So super excited to be here, and just, again, thank you so much for the opportunity.
Absolutely. Anything else to add, guys?
Just a good, healthy Go Rhinos.
Absolutely. So, again, I really appreciate your time. And as I do every episode, I'm going to give my own book recommendation and maybe a quote or thought of the week. And a book I picked, kind of intentional, knowing the program this week. There's a lady named Annette France who wrote a book called Built to Win. And it's mostly more of a business book, but the concepts in there could be about so many different things, whether it's athletics or business. But it's one I've read this year that I would really strongly recommend. And one of my quote this week it comes from somebody who I've quoted before, but he's one of my favorites, Winston Churchill. He's had several quotes on courage, but and I would say this one is especially good for this, how would I describe this hypersensitive world that we live in? But he said, "Courage is what it takes to stand up and speak. Courage is also what it takes to sit down and listen." So you're sitting in a room with a few people who have some courage to do some things differently and help Gaston College maybe get a little more notice, a little more on the map. And of course, that spreads over to our community here locally. So, again, I appreciate what you guys are doing. So to our listeners out there, thanks so much for taking the time to listen to today's episode. Please spread the word if you can about the podcast, and please don't hesitate to contact us here at podcast@gastonsgreat.com. We're always looking for suggestions for future podcast topics and guests. You can find the podcast and subscribe at the website, gastonsgreat.com, and please follow us on our social media platforms. You can also find us and subscribe and rate the podcast on most podcast services such as iTunes, Spotify, and Google. Thanks again to Kate, Shohn, and Caleb for being our guests today. Gaston's Great is produced and brought to you by Amy Anderson from GSM Services and edited here locally by the Sumner Group. I'm your host, Stephen Long. Thanks again for hanging out with us, and please keep coming back to hear more reasons why Gaston's great.